All right, everybody, here we are back again with part two of the Strixhaven set booster box on Bulk Mythic. We have 10 more packs, the middle 10 packs out of the box, if anybody's counting. Right now to crack into Strixhaven has been a pretty good set, and actually looking forward to the, from the announcement of Wizards of the Coast, that in-store play where it's, legal, where it's safe, is going to be coming back to North America. So these cards, the actual physical cards, I'm going to say right now, we'll see probably a rise in value of those that are playable in standard, modern, things like that, as people have been not necessarily keeping up with those formats in paper. The commander stuff was still being bought. People were still building commander decks, but now that in-store play is going to come up, I know a lot of the stores in my area have been getting a lot of online orders for paper cards, and people are gearing up to get back in the stores and actually play face to face again in a safe, respective manner. So our lesson card here is Fractal Summoning. We've got red and green. We got green in our commons at least. And then Prismari in our uncommons. Actually, it looks like it's just a little bit of everything. So this one's not too connected in the connected commons and uncommons. That's very weird. Put those away. Our rare is the Dream Strix, 2 and a blue for a 3/2 flyer, which is already pretty good. But when you add that, if it becomes the target of a spell, sacrifice it. That's the drawback right there. So, anything that targets it's going to get rid of it. And then when it dies, you get to learn those. So it can replace itself after you're forced to sacrifice it. And here we go with the Mystical Archive Electrolyze, 1 blue red. It deals 2 damage, divided as you choose, against 1 or 2 targets, and then draw a card with a foil Spirit Summoning. All right. Good start right there with the Electrolyze out of the Mystical Archive. Let's keep that up. So, again, cards are coming up in value. If you don't have yours yet, you might want to kind of start looking at it. If you have some to trade in the card stores, now might be a good time to go ahead and bring those in. Get them appraised so that they can get into the case to other players, and you can get some value out of those. Start getting your own product, whether it's be singles or sealed. Our rare here is the Biblioplex and a Swords to Plowshares, another rare Mystical Archive card. So again, some big hits there. Swords to Plowshares, you can never have enough of those. Whenever you need that solid removal, is touted still to today as the best point removal spell printed in Magic. 1 white mana, instant, and you know what? Giving that life to your opponent really isn't that big of a drawback. So, we have Path to Exile, which is a close second, but giving them the land is just a little bit worse in a lot of cases. In the event that they can, ramp up and cast something a little bit more powerful on their next turn. So here we have some Silver Quill, and then our rare is Double Major. So copy target creature spell you control, except if it's legendary. The copy is not legendary. And then it says copies of creature spells become a token. And I was watching the MTG Top 5 on Channel Fireball the other day. Somebody copied a Silver Quill Dragon with Double Major and had another copy effect and ended up with 3 Silver Quills because they copied their Double Major as well. So that's pretty crazy. You can remove that legendary clause and really start getting some benefit out of having multiple legendary creatures on the battlefield. So in Quandrix there, of course, the mathematics, all that maths out. 3 dragons are definitely better than 1. And when you can choose multiples of Silver Quill's attack triggers, it really becomes a pretty powerful effect there. So looking in here a little bit more, closing statement and a Snarl. So I haven't been seeing these come up very often in these booster packs. In the set boosters for Strixhaven and before it seemed like the rare lands came up a lot more frequently, but I'm always happy to see these. These are going to be highly playable. Just having to reveal a basic land or any other land that's a forest or island from your hand in order to play this untapped is not that big of a drawback to let your opponents know that you have another land drop. And then you have Shock in the Mystical Archive spot, and a foil Tend the Pests. All right, so halfway through here on this pack of this middle third of the box. I've been really pleased with this opening so far. The first one was a little bit lackluster, actually. But here we go. Continuing on. Got some good pulls. Rare Land. We got a Swords to Plowshares. We got an Electrolyze. And let's just keep stacking on top of it. Here's Prismari Command in the rare slot, and an Agonizing Remorse. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it or from their graveyard and exile it. You lose a life. So this is going to continue to be playable in Standard. And we ended up with a foil rare Mystical Archive card in the form of Dark Ritual. Look at that art in foil. Like that geometric, like very triangular pattern to it is really striking. It's very subtle, but very striking at the same time, because obviously this is the rule of 3, 1 black mana for 3 black mana. And the fact that this warlock or witch, whoever it is that's casting it, actually has 3 hands in the picture. Very, very creepy art, but looks incredible there in foil. So that is really an awesome pull. I'm happy with that one. Now it's going to go into the keeper box for sure. Maybe into the keeper binder just to show off. But so for you guys out there, when you have trades, right? Who has the trade binder that has the trades that they don't? That they're kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'll trade it, maybe I won't. Because I've run into that a few times. I'll tell you what, if I take a binder out and I say these are for trade, if it's in that book, it's available, right? That's just the only way to do it. But here our mythic rare is Mavinda, Student's Advocate, 2/3 for 2 and white. Legendary creature, Bird Advisor with flying. For 0 mana, you may cast target instant or sorcery spell from your graveyard. So this is the one that really wants you to cast spells that target your own creatures. Because if you cast a spell from your graveyard with this ability, it targets an opponent's creature, then it costs 8 more. Or if it doesn't target your creature at all. So if you're casting a spell like Inkling Summonings from your graveyard, because it doesn't target a creature that you control, it's going to cost 8 more. It's a pretty big drawback, but if you're playing it, a lot of people are experimenting to try to figure out what decks that can really fit in. I'm sure there's going to be one there somewhere. And then Skin Veil as our Mystical Archive. So, very interesting card. A lot of people are testing with it. A lot of people are experimenting with it. I haven't seen anything of any like real substance come from it yet, but who knows? We'll find out something here pretty soon, or maybe we got to wait for some sets a little bit later on down the road to figure out what its real purpose is. You know, we don't know what they have in planning. Wizards plans these sets and starts making the cards 3 years out, and who knows what we got going on. Here's a Tendrils of Agony. Is that the second one? No, we had an Agonizing Remorse. So here's a Tendrils of Agony rare. Target player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life for 2 and a black. Mystical Archive card. So these are really fun in the limited format, sealed in draft, because it really mixes up the play. And then, of course, you have our Necrotic Sliver in the set list slot. So a good day for slivers. We opened up Harmonic Sliver in the Time Spiral booster packs on the previous video on the channel. The link will be at the end of this one if you want to check that out. And then we got Necrotic Sliver here too. So pretty interesting right there. Not a lot of ways to make all your creatures slivers or have very many slivers in this set. But again, it's just a list card. It's not playable. These set booster packs aren't really designed to be played in a limited format or anything like that. So they're just neat little throw-ins, but definitely a good utility creature if you have the right kind of sliver deck. So I have to look at mine. I can't remember if I took Necrotic Sliver out or not. I might still be running it. But here we have in our rare slot a modal double-faced card of the Selfless Glyph Weaver. 2/3 for 2 and a white. Human Cleric. Exile the Selfless Glyph Weaver and creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. So he protects the rest of your team. But on the back side, we have Deadly Vanity for 5 and 3 black. Choose a creature or planeswalker, then destroy all other creatures and planeswalkers. So you get to save one thing that you have and wipe the board of everybody else's creatures. But that's incredibly expensive. 8 mana, holy cow. We have another rare here in Culminating Studies. X and a blue and a red. Exile top X cards of your library. For each land card exiled this way, create a treasure token. For each blue card exiled this way, draw a card. And for each red card exiled this way, Culmination of Studies deals 1 damage to each opponent. So there's been a lot of talk about this one. I've seen in the social sphere talking about, now, how much do you want to put into this before you get enough value out of it, right? Because if you spend 3 mana, you're going to reveal a card and either deal 1 damage, draw a card, or get a treasure token. Three mana for that when it's uncertain what you're going to get really isn't that great. And the fact that if you're talking about the draw card, you exile the cards off the top of your library, and then you draw whatever's underneath if you hit a blue card. So, I mean, if you're running a lot of multicolored Prismari cards, maybe, but otherwise, it's kind of a clunky card to try to figure out how to play it. But here we go. Another big hit on the Mystical Archive is Channel. Green for a sorcery. It says, until in turn, anytime you could activate a mana ability, you may pay a life, and if you do, add a colorless mana. So a big spell right there for 2 mana. You just turn your life into a mana pool. And then we have a foil Strixhaven Stadium. This card looks like a lot of fun. Still not sure how to build around it or where to build around it. But, you know, if you want to build that commander deck that just doesn't do a whole lot except play a mini game inside of the game, this would be the way to go about it for sure. So that's a real fun one. That pack right there had 3 rares and 1 mythic rare. So how about that for opening a single booster pack? So this middle set of packs in this box has really been a lot better than the one before. I think hopefully we didn't use up all of our good luck on this pack and that there's more in the next video, but I can't be upset at all. So this one here, we have plenty of uncommons because we only had the one lesson card, and then we're jumping right into uncommons in our common uncommon slots here. A lot of Witherbloom with Dina the Soul Steeper, right? Seen so many memes with that art. Replacing the Kermit the Frog, none of my business meme. And then Bookworm, big player in limited, slamming a body that large on the table with trample, and then gaining 3 life and drawing a card at the same time. Just the sealed format at the very least is slow enough to make this absolutely playable, and it can really turn the tide of a battle. And here's Strict Proctor in the rare slot. Creature Spirit Cleric. It's 1 and a white for a 1/3 with flying, and whenever a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability to trigger, counter that ability unless its controller pays to. So that's yours. That includes your stuff. But if you build your deck correctly, then you're not going to be suffering from it too much. And then we got a Village Rites as our Mystical Archive and a foil Quintorius Field Historian out of Lorehold. So last pack here. Thanks for sticking around this long. I appreciate what you guys watching the channel. If you are enjoying it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Follow the channel for more videos. Find us on Facebook so you can comment either below the video here or on Facebook. And let me know what you're enjoying so I can do more of that. Let me know if there's something else you'd like to see. I'm trying to keep a good variety of videos on the channel so that it doesn't get too stale and I can find, you know, what you guys are really looking for. We're lucky here with a rare right out the gate in the lesson slot. 1 green for basic conjuration, sorcery lesson. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. The rest on the bottom of your library in random order and gain 3 life. So if you're going to take turn 3 off to go 6 deep for a creature, at least it rewards you with 3 life there. Kind of offsets the fact that you're not really affecting the board for a turn, which is pretty cool. And then we've got Prismari here in our common slot. Then for the uncommons is Witherbloom again. Witherbloom Apprentice and Mortality Spear. So this costs 2 less to cast if you gained life this turn, and then destroy target non-land permanent. And then in the rare slot, we have a modal double-faced card of Kian, Dean of Substance. 2/2 for 2 and a green. Legendary creature, Elf Druid. Tap to exile top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it in your hand. Otherwise, put a study counter on it. And then pay 4 and a green to create a 0/0 fractal creature token with a number of +1/+1 counters on it for different mana value amongst non-land cards you own exiled with study counters on them. And then on the back side is the Dean of Theory, Imbraham, 2 and 2 blue for a 3/3 flyer. X and 2 blue to tap it. Exile top X cards of your library. Put a study counter on each of them. Then you may put a card you own in exile with a study counter on it into your hand. So if you get both of these two in play, you can really create almost a second hand out of study cards and a little place to breed fractal tokens. And then we have Lorehold Command and Adventurous Impulse in the Mystical Archive slot with a foil Devouring Tendrils. So not a bad pack, right? We got some really amazing rares and mythic rares, including a foil Dark Ritual out of our Mystical Archive cards, as well as some really fun rares. I like these modal double face cards a lot. I really do. A foil Strixhaven Stadium. Well, find somewhere to put that into a deck, and figuring out Mavinda. That my first thought was Feather. Putting that in a Feather Commander deck, seeing how things go from there. But not a bad set of packs here. Some good cards to hang on to into the collection. The Mystical Archive, I was a little bit down on, but the utility of these cards is really neat, and the extra arts and the different art style is a lot of fun too. So it's given me some cards I can put away to just kind of dress up my commander decks a little bit. And otherwise, it's also given some cards that their value has gone down quite a bit, unless they're like the really highly played ones, but they're still fun, they're still different, and I'm still going to run them in the decks that I can. So Again, if you're liking what we're doing, give this video a thumbs up and share it with a friend to know that we're out here sharing our hobby.